What is up, everyone? So, for those of you who have been living under a freaking rock, Kaldheim released, and today we're going to be going over what we think about the set, some of the cards we like, going through all the mechanics, and any product, maybe some products associated with it, we'll see. But yeah, let's just jump right in with, I'm Nate, or also known as Severios. I'm joined today with Chris.
That's me.
And Evan.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mull Zero. I'm Evan. I'm here to... We do have a name.
Yeah, we do.
I'm here to talk about Viking magic.
Oh, yeah. This is the Viking set, right?
You've been waiting for since you thought congrats home.
I think there was something I said, like, at the beginning of last time that was, like, that... There was, like, something I forgot about at the beginning of last episode, and Chris in that exact tone of voice was like, how could you forget?
I know, that's just... I'm predictable.
Yeah. Alright, so we're gonna jump right into it. Kaldheim actually, like, looking at the list, had a decent amount of mechanics, and most of these are actually new. Like, there's only a couple of most of the more prevalent ones are new. There's a couple of returning mechanics, but we'll go into that. Let's just start with the main mechanic, Boast. What Boast is if a creature attacked, if that creature with the Boast ability attacked, you can activate its ability once in the turn. So a lot of these are like, I think the example that always comes to mind for me is the Varigoth, the legendary creature that lets you tutor, or vampiric tutor on Boast. What do you guys think of Boast? I want to hear your thoughts first.
I can go first. I'm a big fan of Boast. It reminds me of Raid, which I'm a big fan of that mechanic from Tarkir. I like the... this might go a little bit into Tell, but I'm not going to talk about it too much just right here. I like the duality of a very aggressive mechanic and a very, like, controlling mechanic. I like the duality of those two being together, and Boast is really good as an aggressive mechanic. It's a mana sink. And I just think they did a really, really good job just making that environment of those two mechanics.
One of my favorite things about Boast is, just like Fortel, combined specifically with Fortel, and especially with all the equipment prevalent, there's so many different ways that you can use your mana. And that, especially in limited games, is a very engaging play pattern. Because, you know, you're thinking, okay, I can cast this 2-drop and this 3-drop in my hand, or I can attack, activate my Boast ability, foretell a card, and equip. They're just having activated abilities in the same set with a lot of other mana sinks gives you a lot of options when you're playing, and I think that's just really fun.
I will say, I think Boast is a really... the Boast deck, or just like the aggressive deck, is really fun in this limited environment. And I do think Boast just plays a major part in that. It's a really fun mechanic. One thing I want to talk about with Boast is it's not really super important, but if you look in the flavor text of most cards with Boast have flavor text, or not every card with Boast has flavor text, they're always bragging about something. Like, the flavor on the cards with Boast is 10 out of 10. They did an amazing job with it.
Yeah, that's true. Once you pointed that out to me, it's like every time I see somebody play a Boast card, I have to stop and read the flavor text, and it makes
like the little dog.
The dog. I think one of my favorites is the Fearless Liberator. I forget the exact name, so he's pretty much like no one else had the balls to do it, so I ran in between the Cyclops Regs and drug him back to Bredegard, I think? I can't remember.
No one else had the spine for it, so I ran right between the giant's legs and hauled poor Valdir back to Axgard.
Did you have that memorized, or do you have Scryfall open?
I have a Mythic Spoiler open. I'm not that much of a nerd.
Yeah. Though I do think, like how Chris said, Boast is it's a nice mana sink. I love it just feels good to use. Like you feel like it's a bit high risk, high reward, right? Because you swing, it can be blocked, but since it's just they had to attack, they don't have to deal damage, or it can be activated at instant speed. It just kind of feels good to use. Like, you swing, you activate your Boast, you make a 5/5 dragon, and then move to blocks.
Yeah, I think it's definitely tempting sometimes to always go in limited attacking and trying to activate your Boast ability for value. But I think a lot of the times, especially in an aggressive deck, you really want to add to the board. And sometimes Boast can be a bit of a trap because you want to activate it to get some value instead of actually, playing your creatures and playing out your hand and making sure that you secure a good board state. So it definitely adds options, but it's not like it's always the best thing to do, which is it's definitely an interesting play pattern.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I like Boast a lot. I think it's safe to say that you both like Boast a lot.
For sure.
I would not be upset with seeing it return. Like, not obviously in the near future, but like later on. There's still a decent amount of design space left with it, I think. Like, it's very similar to Raid, though I think it being an activate ability kind of opens up the design of it a bit more instead of Raid just, if you attacked when it enters the battlefield or at the beginning of each end step, this triggers.
It gives you a bit more of a control over when it triggers and the timing and when you want to use it and that kind of thing.
Yeah. So, moving on to Fortel. Fortel is our another new mechanic, and what this will do is let you pay 2 mana during your turn, or whenever you can activate a sorcery, I think, to set aside a card face down in exile. And on a later turn, you can cast it for its Fortel cost. So
you can actually Fortel at instant speed as long as it's your turn. So it doesn't have to be a sorcery speed.
That's interesting.
It's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So,
I know. I always thought it was sorcery, but it's not.
So, what are you guys' thoughts on Fortel before I go into mine?
Okay, so I don't want to just like talk about how much I love every single mechanic, but I just really, really like Fortel. I was super skeptical during spoiler season. I'm like, who cares if you just pay 2 and morph a card outside the game? But like, something about it, just being able to like, okay, I'm gonna not morph, sorry. I'm gonna Fortel, I'm gonna play 2-drop, and then next turn I'm gonna be able to like triple spell. It lets you take like tempo early game and then just be like super explosive near the end, and that explosiveness is just really fun to play with. Like I've become addicted to Fortel decks, and I can't fully explain why.
One thing I really like, I think the versatility of being allowed to split up your mana cost is really nice, and also if you're in like more Eternal formats, there's some discard in Kaldheim Limited, but say like in Modern or something, or Pioneer, you're going to be facing a Thoughtseize deck, or Historic even actually, which is more likely where these cards would see play. You can foretell away the cards like that you want to keep in your hand. Like if you have a kill spell in your hand.
As long as it's not turned 1.
Well, yeah, true. God, if I
Turn 1 Thoughtseize.
Turn 1 Thoughtseize scoop.
Me every time.
Yeah. But yeah, like I like it because it's nice discard protection, which actually is in Historic. There is a discard deck. It's not very popular, but with things like Tiny Bones, Thoughtseizes.
Yeah, like 8-rack.
Yeah, it's like an 8-rack style deck. Davriel is popular.
I've definitely faced that a few times.
Yeah. I don't. So Fortel is a nice discard protection against that, and I like that a lot. It reminds me of Morph and Suspend's Ungodly Stepchild, but it's beautiful. I love it.
What do you think, Evan?
I really like Fortel. I think I like you, Chris. I don't want to. I like to be critical, but with this, the mechanics here are really good. And Fortel, I love Morph. Big fan of it. I bought the Morph Precon a long time ago. But I think that hiding information like past the hand, beyond Thoughtseizes, beyond all that, just having those cards set aside so you can have explosive. You're like scheming. You're foretelling your plan until finally you can come out and have just a massive, explosive, game-swinging turn. I'm a big fan of game-swinging, explosive magic, so this was really a grand slam for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm really a fan of it. If I have one itty-bitty, tiny qualm with Fortel, it's just that a lot of them aren't going to see much play beyond Limited. Like, there are definitely a few standout, like Doomscar. Like, Doomscar is really good. Yeah, Doomscar is going to see
amazing.
Play.
But a lot of these, you don't want to take a turn 2 off to not do anything but store your mana, So I kind of wish, although on the other hand, it also is nice that they didn't completely push a mechanic for once. So I can't complain too much, but maybe just a few more cards that were a bit more constructive playable would be nice. But it's far from a terrible mechanic.
I will say, there's gonna be a card I'm talking about later that is it's kind of a Fortel card, but it definitely helps the mechanic see play. It actually already sees some play in Stamp, but we'll talk about that later. Yeah, I like Fortel a lot. I do think it's just a nice tempo controlling mechanic, and honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing it return again. I think all these new mechanics are kind of great.
Yeah, I feel like Fortel could fit in a lot of different planes too. Like I could
It was
definitely see it
originally
coming back.
Definitely
it was
could.
originally made for Amonkhet. Actually, it was called Scheme.
Yeah, I
They
remember
pushed
reading
it back
about that.
for Kaldheim.
I could see
Man,
it
I'm
on
so glad they did
Amonkhet.
not go with the name Scheme.
It was supposed
Fortel
to
is
be
such a cool name.
it was supposed to be like a bull ass flavor thing, but I understand. Yeah, I wouldn't. I could see it on Theros too. That'd be a really cool place for it.
Yeah.
Honestly, like any top-down mythology design set, so Amonkhet, Theros, now Kaldheim, we'd probably get a Rome one eventually. So any
I'm so
top-down,
Honestly, I
excited
feel
for
like
that.
it doesn't even have to be mythology. Like Scry is kind of Greek mythology, but it just works everywhere. And I
There's
don't really want it.
oracles, you know.
yeah,
Yeah,
they're
I mean it's
actually.
magic.
Fun fact, Chris, did you know that Scry was originally just a Theros mechanic? It wasn't introduced until Theros.
I thought,
So weird. Oh, it's been
what
in.
about
It was
Serum
in.
Visions?
It was in Planar Chaos.
Yeah,
Oh,
Remember,
my
there's a
bad.
card that scries 1, then scries 2, then scries 3.
Oh my
yeah.
bad.
There's some old Scry cards.
Because I was pretty sure the first place was actually like outside of like planar. I could have sworn. I will double check that while we're talking about the next mechanic, which is Changeling. Changeling is a returning mechanic that lets you. The creature with Changeling is all creature types. So if most of them tend to be shapeshifters with Changeling, but they count as everything. Its returning originally was in Lorwyn. Lorwyn was the first place we saw it. So, what do you guys think about Changeling? I like it, kind of. I think it's a fun
Yeah, I mean,
mechanic.
it's kind of cool. It fills a role for limited a lot of times. You're trying to make a tribal deck and you rely on your changelings to hold the whole thing together. But it's a fine mechanic. I don't really dislike it. It's not super exciting, to be honest. I wouldn't be upset if it didn't come back, but I'm glad it's here.
I like Changeling a lot. I think it's a cool I'm really a big fan of the shapeshifters of Kaldheim. Not as much as Lorwyn, but I think that they did a good job with the masks thing.
It's really cool. I like it quite a bit.
I think it's good for limited. You're running a giant tribal deck, but they can't have the whole set full of giants. They need other things. I just wish that the Simic tribe was not shapeshifters.
Yeah, I was just about to make the comment. Normally, like last time we saw Changeling in Lorwyn, Changelings were across all colors and they were used to help supplement your tribal decks, to make your tribal decks work. But instead in Kaldheim, the Simic tribe is shapeshifters with all of them being Changelings. And not a big fan of that. It makes...
I know there's Bloodline Pretender, which is an artifact, but is there any other non-blue or green
No.
changeling in the set?
The rest are blue or
It's so
green.
weird.
It really, like... I'm not a big fan of it because, like... If you look at, like, dwarves, they're a red-white tribe. The only changeling... If you're not picking up enough dwarves and would rather, like, need some changelings to help supplement it, the only way for you to get that is an uncommon at Bloodline Pretender.
I think that's kind of a good thing, though. If they just did changelings the exact same way that they did in Lorwyn to make sure that everybody can have a tribal deck, it's kind of repetitive. I kind of like having it in blue-green because it gives blue-green a advantage. It gives it a thing. Their thing in this set is being really good at building a tribal deck because they get changelings. Red-white gets a lot of equipment payoffs and vehicles and stuff. I like the way that it gives them a unique advantage in limited, while still being there to fill the tribal role.
I can understand.
Just-
it.
I'm sorry.
You can go ahead first, and I'll say my
Okay.
piece.
It's just the problem with it though. I feel is so green and blue. Those are pretty easy colors to splash. So, for instance, if I'm playing a troll deck or like a giant deck, I can pick up changelings easier because it's easier for me to splash to those things. So I get more giants in my deck, meaning my tribe has more synergy. But if I'm like a dwarf deck or a deck that is not in green or blue,
Berserkers.
then it's harder for me. Berserkers. It's hard for me to justify having more berserkers in my deck. That's what my deck wants to do when I can't splash for them easily, like giants or trolls. I feel that they get an advantage, which they might need, but I'm not sure. But
Yeah, I think my point is, it's just like, I don't see the problem with some tribes being stronger than others. Like, yes, the green tribes and the blue tribes are going to be easier to assemble, but I don't think that is necessarily a bad thing, as long as the other tribes in like red and white and stuff have other advantages as well, which I think they did a pretty good job of doing.
I think so.
I will say though, on Changelings, and just tribal decks in Kaldheim Limited in general, the tribal, this is only technically a tribal set. It's more of like a sub theme in Limited. It's been said that they started out with it being one of the main focuses, and it just kind of wore down over time. It's not quite the main focus anymore. Which
I kind of noticed that too. There's definitely tribal payoffs, and creature types matter more than usual, but it's definitely possible to build a deck that doesn't care about creature types at all and still have it be pretty good.
Yeah, like it's definitely like only just like a little sub theme. It's not very big, and
I'd say little sub theme. It's a pretty major sub theme.
Yeah, there's a lot of cards that care about tribes.
My bad, not little, but
personally, as much as I'd expect.
Yeah, personally, I like tribal sets a lot, so I would have just preferred a full-on new tribal set. But it's kind of like how Party it has tribal sub themes, but isn't really a tribal mechanic, and how Zendikar had a few tribal sub themes like rogues, wizards, things like that. It's definitely playing into the fact that we're not in a block structure, so by having tribal sub themes to help supplement it makes it a bit easier instead of just giving us a full tribal set after only a set that minorly cared about tribes.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad they didn't focus too much on tribes. Like, we do tribal sets like all the time. Tribal is a very common thing, and I'm glad that they focused more on the new exciting mechanics like Boast and Fortel instead of retreading old ground.
That's true. I want them to one day bring back the tribal spells, like the tribal subsites.
It's gonna happen.
I don't like those.
Yeah, do you remember why it's said that WotC doesn't like those?
It's too complicated, because if like I have the Changeling spell or whatever, like Nameless Inversion, it's like, well, it led to too much confusion because it's every creature type, but it's also an instant and yada yada. It's hard to. I just don't like the complexity.
Don't print Changeling spells. Wow, problem solved.
I mean, I don't think it's Changeling specifically. I think it's just the idea of an instant or sorcery having a creature type that they think is weird.
I personally think it's fine, but that's just my opinion. I could talk about that later in depth, and I probably will make a video on it one day. Let's move on. Let's move on for now. And sagas. These are a slam dunk in Kaldheim. Instead of offering you guys to go first, I'm going first. Fuck you.
You didn't even explain what they were.
Sagas are enchantments that have this special border where they have like 3 blocks on the side, and each one has a number on it. When you play them, you put a lore counter on it, which starts at 1, and each turn at the beginning of your main phase, you tick it up to 2 and then 3. Some of them have 4, but not. Are there any 4s in Kaldheim? I don't think so. I'll double check though.
I don't think so.
So, but what ends up happening is each time the lore counter ticks up, it does a different effect. And flavor-wise, these are really damn good in Kaldheim. Like, they fit perfectly. How do you guys feel about sagas?
So I'll go first. I really like sagas on Kaldheim. I think they have a good mechanical purpose. They remind me of kind of ish planeswalkers, because like they do different things, and they do eventually go on like a lot of planeswalkers in Limited. But I'm just happy to see them, and lore wise they're really good. They're really nice on like storied planes. It's like first on Dominaria, and then on Theros, and now on Kaldheim. This just fits very, very well with the setting and the themes, and also they seem to represent what the different colors are trying to do very well. So I'm very happy with them.
Yeah, what I really like about the way they did sagas in Kaldheim is they're all pretty good. Most of them are all pretty good on their own without much support. Like Ferja's Retribution creates a 4/4 Sarah Angel when enters, and then gives you a bunch of angel payoffs after that. That's really good by itself, okay? A Sarah Angel for 4 with upside is good. But if you're actually in Angel Tribal, it gets ridiculous, right? So you've got these cards that are good, but if you put in the effort and draft a good deck and have synergy, they just get insane. And I just think that's a really fun way to balance the mechanic.
Yeah. I know a saga I personally really like quite a bit is binding the old gods. I think it's actually seeing play in standard right now because the card is just really good. You get to blow up an online permanent, next turn search for any forest, which you can pull a Triome, things like that. And then giving all your creatures Death Touch, like that's really good in controlling decks. And what a lot of people are doing is flickering it with the Yorion.
Gross.
Yeah, I do think the Yorion Flicker Saga pile is gross. I don't like that deck. I think it's kind of gross, but it is kind of a cool synergy that, like, even though we're not in block structure anymore, it is cool that they're able to still kind of build these synergies across multiple sets. I think that is a little cool. I still prefer block structure, but that could be a whole nother podcast. Yeah, I think sagas were amazing on Kaldheim. I'm glad that we finally get to see them and that they're dual colored, because these are our first dual colored sagas as well, which is really interesting.
Really?
Yeah,
that's not true, is it?
Yes,
Theros, weren't they?
There were.
I'm like 90. Okay, I'm looking.
All of Theros sagas were single colored.
Okay, there's no way that's true. Is it?
Yes.
Okay. I'm trying to think of one, but I can't
at the
think
list of sagas right now. I will even send it to you guys.
Huh. I'm looking.
Yes, you're. Yeah, I'm looking, and I guess you're right.
Melia,
Huh.
Minimize Prophecy, Eldest Reborn, Mending. Oh my god, I never knew that.
That's weird.
It really.
I would have sworn they'd done that before.
Yeah,
That's
no,
crazy.
It's kind of insane to think about, but I like how they did these dual colored sagas. I think they're honestly, like, saga, I feel just as a mechanic. Obviously, they could probably push it over the edge somehow, but even like I don't. Sagas tend to be relatively fine on the power level, and I kind of like it. Like, they seem like like a safe mechanic. I don't think they'll ever get pushed over the edge. Please don't prove me wrong, Watsy, but
I'm gonna say
I feel like it'd be pretty
don't
easy
say
to do that. Flickerable,
Just make
free
it
effect. Seems just as breakable as any other card type
True.
to me.
Make a saga its third. Sagas, it flickers itself.
yeah, make a saga
Oh
that
my God.
just flicker itself. God, okay, I changed my mind. Let's stop. Anyways, moving on. So, with Kaldheim, we have had a return of gods. We see these mostly on planes that have mythology inspired in it, though I would like to see a ground-up plane designed around a pantheon of gods. That's besides the point. But the gimmick on Kaldheim is that every single god is a modal double-faced card with something on the back, usually something that helps resemble them. So, like, Halvar, the god of battle, has his sword on the back of him. How do you guys feel about these new gods? Do you like their design? Is there anything you want to point out about them?
I mean,
So
you can go ahead.
one thing I noticed, none of these gods are really indestructible, which is it was a weird deviation, but I'm here for it. I'm a big fan of a lot of them. They give utility so if you don't need the god side, you can use the other side. And I think they're really cool. I really didn't expect them not to have some sort of, because even like the Scarab god, who didn't have indestructibility, was still recurable, or like the god Eternals. But I think that it's a cool design that they're not like destructible gods. They're gods of like a different caliber than Theros or
So actually, there was a statement made about the indestructibility of these gods, and the reasoning why they didn't give some sort of like recursion or indestructible ability to these. I butchered that word. Holy shit. They when they were doing research on Norse mythology and their gods, they realized that a lot of the gods are more just people. Like they tend to walk amongst the mortals a lot and can die like normal people. They can't die of old age, but somebody can kill them. So they made the decision for flavor reasons to not make them indestructible, so that they're more like their source material.
Yeah, I don't think indestructible is super fun. I like that they use it sparingly. You know.
Yeah, same. I do. If you like, I do like in Theros. Actually, if you notice, there was a lot more. There was effects that exiled enchantments when there was indestructible gods, and actually to pair with it, there was a cycling card. It has cycling, exile up to 3 target enchantments in Ikoria. That card was specifically designed to help against gods and Theros, but
Barrier breach.
barrier breach. That's it. But like when we see indestructible, we tend
You're getting off topic, Nate.
yeah. Anyways, I like the gods a lot. I do like how Evan said. I like how versatile they are, and also a problem with just legendary creatures in general is that in constructed formats, they're not good into multiples. Like in my Merfolk deck, if I pull a second Kumena and I already have one, I'm kind of screwed unless they kill my Kumena. But these gods are really good in multiples because if you already have one of the sides on the board, you can just play the other side.
Yeah, I mean, they're cool. I think a lot of them have fun designs, but I'm not the biggest fan ever of the modal double-faced, the way they went about the double-faced cards this time. Because with a lot of these, there's like 99% of the time, it's right to just play one side of it. You know, Rydane, God of the Worthy, is a 3-mana 2/3 with flying and vigilance and some upside. You pretty much should always play that instead of the 4-mana artifact on the other side. That's basically just the Heckma from Amonkhet. Like, that's just bad, you know? Egon, God of Death, is a 3-mana 6/6 with Death Touch. And on the other side, it's crappy mill that maybe sometimes draws you a card. Like, I wish they balanced both sides more so that you aren't pretty much always playing one side. But, you know, I think the good side of most of these is pretty cool, at least.
Chris, you know what's really funny? The mill side on the God of Death is what's seeing play, not the 6-mana Death Touch.
Well, even then I don't play much standard or anything like that.
It's in
but
historic, and actually,
even then, the
Lucy's
right
playing
side
standard.
to play is Throne of Death. Then,
Yeah.
you know, instead of Eden.
I definitely can see that as a criticism. Like, for those of you who don't know, and I'm going to be talking about it in extent later, I'm a big Tybalt fan, but
Really?
Wow, it's not like I carry him in my wallet or anything. what
Like you
weirdo
bought
would do that?
$60 one.
But anyways, so the side that it makes me ecstatic that the side that sees play is Tybalt and not Valky. Like, people play Valky in the early game, but most of the time people are playing the deck for Tybalt. I do understand the reasoning for, like, Chris's complaint that both sides only one sees play, but I would rather only have one push side than two push sides, in my opinion.
That's fair. That's
And I'd rather
very
have
true.
just like the other side offer some versatility. Like for Raydan, a lot of people have made the comment that the shield side on Raydan will let you survive a grape shot.
I mean, yeah, but then you're playing Radon in a format that has Grape Shot.
Yeah, like it's a fair point, but it's just like that. I mean, that's a fair statement, but that I'm just using it to make my point. Like,
Yeah,
I'd
I know
rather
what
have
you
the
mean.
other side just offer versatility than being another push card.
That's true. Every time I start complaining about a card being like not great, I'm always like, "Be careful what you wish for, Chris," because you know,
It's
you
come
know,
true many
Watsy's gonna
times.
listen and be like, "Oh, players want ridiculous cards on both sides."
Just wait till Strixhaven, because Strixhaven was
God.
the set MDFCs were designed for. Like, that set was
boy.
designed from the bottom up to have MDFCs.
I'm scared.
I honestly am too, because Zendikars were good, but they were kind of tame. Just being lands on the other side were pretty good, but they weren't like insane. There are a couple that I think are really good, but only one of the sides is really good, right? Like, I don't think
Mhm.
there's one that makes me want to puke because both sides are disgusting. But Strixhaven, I'm kind of scared for. I'm worried that it's just going to be like there's going to be a counter spell on one side and a kill spell on the other.
God.
Oh God. Could you imagine?
Oh my god. Let's move
Maybe
on.
for the
All right.
schools
So
of
what's next up
Hogwarts.
on the list?
Next up, we have a return mechanic people have been asking for a while to be back in Standard. We have Snow. Kaldheim, since being the Viking plane, they decided this would be a great fit for Snow to come back. Which, ever since I heard what Kaldheim was, I remember I was asking for Snow. So this made me excited at first, and I want to clarify at first. How do you guys feel about Snow, just in general?
I am completely like split down the middle on Snow. I have like strong feelings in both directions. On one hand, I've played with Snow a lot in Limited. I've been playing a ton of Kaldheim Limited recently. And it's a really fun way to shake up draft where, I'm actually prioritizing picking basic lands over cards, like that's cool. And trying to find the nice synergy of snow payoffs to snow lands is a fun way to shake up draft. And I think it's a really fun, interesting mechanic in Limited. But what I really don't like about it in Constructed is it's basically just strictly better basics. Like, I know I said earlier, like in Zendikar, that the pathways are strictly better basics, but these are like literally, they have the basic land type and they pay off for cards like the freaking Baleful Strix that's in Simic. Yes, the Icefang Coatl. And they just refuse to print any hate cards for Snow. So there's no reason, well, pretty much no reason, with a few exceptions, I suppose, to just replace every single basic in every single deck with a Snow one if you are even kind of running Snow payoffs. I'm not a fan of that.
That's my big complaint. Like, I remember I was reading a card, Graven Lore, I think it's called. It's 5 mana. Let me look this up and actually read it. Okay, so it's 5 mana, 3 double blue. It says Scry X, where X is the amount of snow mana spent to cast a spell, then draw 3. In Limited, I think this card is great because, it's kind of varied, but in Constructed, like Commander, or even like in Control decks, we've seen instant speed, draw 3 at 5 mana, so you play it before. And this reads just Scry 5, draw 3 in Constructed, pretty much without fail. And I'm not a big fan of that type of design. I think Snow's great in Limited, but again, seeing it in Constructed is kind of obnoxious in my opinion. Though I will say, in Kaldheim, I do like how, I think it was Cold Snap, had a lot of problems where they had snow mana in the mana cost of spells, and it caused a lot of problems with, it caused a lot of problems because you would get all these cards that need snow mana for you to cast, but you wouldn't get enough snow lands. But in Kaldheim, all of the stuff either just wants to be cast with snow mana, so you don't actually need to cast it with it, or just has an activate ability that costs snow. And there's a lot more snow fixing in this set too. So I do quite like that.
So with my thing with snow, I don't really hate it. However, I do think that there needs to be more snow hate. I know in the beginning they said there'd be one single snow hate card. I was like, sweet, it better be like a boil or like the other one that punishes islands. And it was not. It was a one that makes them come in tapped, which is not what I was expecting.
It's white though, it can't be good. It was a white card. You're not allowed to have those be good.
Right. I just wish it was a double-edged sword to play snow. Like, there's some really powerful synergies there, and I want them to be powerful. But at the same time, my opponent could be running this snow boil, and it could screw my whole strategy. So I have to play around that. How many snow lands should I play? It's like Blood Moon. Like, how many non-basic should I play? How many basic should I play? You should be able to play around that, and I think that could lead to better, more interesting deck building if you have a certain amount of snow lands, a certain amount of non-snow lands, and you have to pick your poison. You know what I mean? Can't go.
I think that's a really good point. Is good mechanics make you think about how you want to use them, and they make you consider how many copies you want to play, or what copies you want to play. And snow just takes away any sacrifice and consideration about how you want to build it. You just put in as many snow basics as you can afford. Like, I think that was a really good point.
Yeah. One thing though, like in more Eternal formats where like shocks and fetches are illegal, I could see like them being like, oh, but using Snowland sacrifices your fixing and your consistency, but you just printed Snow Duels as well.
They don't care about those formats either, so
yeah,
whatever.
Yeah.
They won't.
Fair point.
They need a commander, baby.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not talking about like Legacy. But even in those old formats, you've got fetch lands. So even if you're playing like 4 snow basics and a billion jillion fetch lands, you're not sacrificing much.
Yeah, and also, I do think one of the top modern decks at this point anyways is a snow pile, and that's usually that's the format where you're like, oh, you need your mana base filled with fetches and shocks, like whole 9 yards, when one of the top decks is, I believe, a snow pile.
Isn't Snoko like the thing to beat in Legacy?
Yes, I do know that much. Snoko
Doesn't
is
surprise
like
me.
the deck in Legacy. Actually, let me look up
Is
MTG.
Astrolabe banned in Legacy?
No.
Oh, that's why. It's got
Yeah,
Coatl. It's pretty much the modern deck.
Snoko is the second best deck.
Standard deck.
And it is running 4 Arkham Astrolabes. Who knew?
Yeah. That's the card. That's the reason they don't do snow in like the mana cost anymore.
Yeah.
That card.
That card broke so many formats.
Do find it funny that this is kind of on topic with Snow, but I do find it funny that like Legacy tends to be a graveyard for any decks that get banned in Modern now. Just strictly better.
That's true.
But we'll talk about that when we talk about Modern Horizons 2 coming up.
God.
Overall, honestly, I'm perfectly neutral on Snow. I think it's really, really fun in Draft, but in every other format, like, I think it's kind of gross. That's my opinion on it.
Yeah, we seem to be pretty in agreement on this one.
Yeah. Let's move on to the next mechanic, which there's been a lot of, surprisingly, like, there's a lot of things here that remind me of Amonkhet. Like, the Fortel was supposed to be on Amonkhet. There's gods like Amonkhet. And this one reminds me of the cartouches from Amonkhet. These are runes. These are auras that will let you enchant any permanent. When they enter the battlefield, you draw a card. All of them cantrip, that's a nice touch. I like it. If they're enchanting a creature, they give the creature keyword. And if they're enchanting an equipment, they give the equipped creature has keyword. So like the black one gives a creature death touch and gives an equipment, equipped creature has death touch. I like these a lot. I think these are really cool and unique design, and I wish we got more than 5 of them.
5 uncommons.
Yeah, 5 uncommons specifically. It's like the cartouches. I always thought that I always wished when I was doing Amonkhet Limited that there was more cartouches, and this is a very similar vein. I just wish there was more. I think they're really cool. I think the ability to enchant an equipment or a creature is really unique and versatile. I like the design. I think it's super cool. I like how all of them cantrip too. That's a nice touch.
Yeah, I really like that it says enchant permanent, even though it only does anything on creatures or equipment, so that if you are really desperate and you just need that redraw, you can just slap it on a land and dig for something. I've definitely done that a few times in there.
No, you could have a Microsynth Lattice and a Bludgeon Brawl, so you can equip that land.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that with my Kaldheim Limited cards.
Yeah.
I don't want to get too much into like the specific runes because I want to talk about that a little bit later. But overall, I think they're pretty interesting. I'm very impressed with them.
Yeah. I like the runes. I think they're cool. Honestly, I wouldn't... This is similar to, like, I would love to see Trials and Cartouches from Amonkhet again, because I think there's a lot of design space there that we haven't seen. I'd love to see runes again. And I don't know where else they could fit, plane-wise. I feel like these are pretty solid for Kaldheim, but I definitely wouldn't mind seeing them again. I like it a lot. Maybe in, like, Modern Horizons 3...
God, what would they even put in Modern Horizons 3?
Companions.
Freaking magic nuclear bomb.
They just...
Hogak, but he gets every rune that exists.
Yeah.
Hogak 2. Electric Boogaloo.
Hogak, but it has... Renin 6, but it has companions, and it has companion. You're playing a format other than standard.
Let's say that you'll give them ideas.
Oh, God. I hate Renin 6, but that's we'll talk about that when we talk about Modern Horizons 2. There's 2 more that I just want to quickly go over. In this set, there was a bit of a vehicle sub-theme with dwarves. Vehicles actually became deciduous with Ixalan, and for those of you who don't know what a deciduous mechanic is, it's a mechanic that isn't technically evergreen. Like it can't, but R&D will pull it out and put it in a set that fits. Recently, we've gotten like 1 to 2 vehicles in a couple of random sets. Like Theros had a couple vehicles. Eldraine had the carriage. I feel like
Silent Submersible in War.
Shut up.
I forgot about that one.
What's actually really funny is for let me pull up the actual list. For vehicles being in the dwarf deck, the red-white deck, there is 6 vehicles, and 3 of them are colored, but 2 of the colored vehicles, one's green and one's blue.
It's weird. Is one of them the god?
Yeah, there's the blue god Kazima, which I really like personally. There's Esika's chariot, which is green.
Oh,
And
I
then
love that one.
cute.
I do
Cats.
love the chariot. I think it's a really cool design, and it has very cute art. I'm happy. But then I also like Esika a lot, so that makes me excited. But the only other colored vehicle is a red vehicle called Gilded Assault Cart at Uncommon, which I will say. Oh no,
Oh, I remember
this is a set booster card. This isn't
Oh,
even in the
yeah.
normal set.
Like a mine cart, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like a mine cart, and it does a lot of the things dwarfs want to do. So in the main set, there is no colored vehicle for the dwarf deck that cares about vehicles. Bit
Yeah,
weird.
vehicles are kind of cool. They're back, I guess.
Yeah, I'm
No.
always happy to see them again. Like they just I like them. I think they're a cool mechanic. I wouldn't mind going back to like Kaladesh or something and seeing them more prevalent again, or just seeing a different take on them being more prevalent. But we'll see. Maybe one day. The last returning and now finally deciduous mechanic that I want to talk about is keyword counters. These were introduced in Ikoria. I thought they had a lot of potential and I like them quite a bit. And they have officially been made into a deciduous mechanic. So whenever R&D thinks it makes sense for templating, like on the Ascendant Spirit, or there's a saga that does it too, R&D will just slap keyword counters on there and it makes me ecstatic. Because I think keyword counters had like traditionally with cards, like if we looked at Figure of Destiny, there could have been a lot of memory issues with it, because it's just you activate this ability, it becomes this, then you have to remember that it is that to activate its next ability, which makes it become something else. But now with like if we look at the Ascendant Spirit, the new templating with the counters has it keep getting new counters and new abilities to resemble what it is, so it's a lot easier to remember. I like the mechanic a lot too. I just think it works.
This is kind of a little problem with it, but I don't think there were any things that gave keyword counters. Like the problem with it being deciduous, I like the mechanic, but not everyone was there at the Ikoria. So like if you don't have the keyword counter punch out, you got to buy them, or you got to like kind of catch a packet to represent this is haste or this is lifelink. It's like it's. I just wish they'd like, I don't know, make more keyword counters so people can use them. You know what I mean?
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, they probably should include the punch out in more than just Ikoria. Even if it's like only a small prevalent, it still would be kind of nice if they included it there.
Yeah, because it's a cool design, and it's like I like it gameplay, but it is kind of annoying to play with if you don't have the counters, because you get like +1/+1 counters, and then you also got to put another dice and say this one isn't +1/+1 counters. This one means flying. It's kind of annoying to play with. But
they should include some more punch out. I do agree with
It's really
that.
streamlined for Arena though.
It's amazing on
Arena. It's really fun. Like besides the memory issues, I'm surprised they didn't go with keyword counters earlier.
Yeah. Well, I think actually, if I remember correctly, it was after Amonkhet, they had like a brainstorming session essentially where they're like, okay, people really like the punch out technology. How could we use that in more ways? And someone was like, why don't we do keyword counters? And just everyone liked the idea, so it became a thing.
Yep.
All right.
Cool.
Yeah, I like them. I'm happy they're gonna be sticking around. Just make more of those cards, WotC. So next, what we're going to do is we're going to go through one by one. We each have picked out 3 cards that we really like from the set that we're going to talk about. And I'll start because I'm first on our list. And the first card I'm going to talk about is Dream Devourer. It costs 1 and a black. Each non-land card in your hand without Fortel has Fortel. Its Fortel cost is equal to its mana cost reduced by 2. And whenever you Fortel a card, it gets +2/+0 until end turn. Now, I do think this card should have been white. White was one of the main colors for Fortel, and I think this is a cool design that definitely could have made sense in white. But just ignoring that one complaint I have about it, overall, I think it's really cool. How it's being used is really interesting, because this card's being used as almost like a mana dork in other colors. Like, it's being used to accelerate and be able to play big spells like 2 or 3 turns earlier. Like, I saw a Crim video, he was using it to foretell away Tybalts and Ugins to play them 2 turns ahead of their curve. And it's being used as kind of like a weird 2-mana mana dork that will reduce by 2. I like it a lot. I think it's really unique, and I'm happy we see something like this to make Fortel actually usable. Like, if I toss this in a commander deck, I don't have the problem of... Like, if I toss a Doomscar in my commander deck, I'm not going to Fortel it often, because people are going to know there's a Doomscar coming if that's the only deck I run. Or if that's the only Fortel
true.
card I run. But if I toss Dream Devourer in, I can Fortel away my entire hand. No one knows what the hell's under there.
Yeah, one problem with new. I know we complain about one set blocks all the time, but mutate. If you want to build a mutate deck in Commander, you have the same mutate deck as everybody else because there's like, a set number of mutate cards that exist because there's only one set with them. What's cool about Dream Devourer is if you want to build a Fortel deck or even just use Fortel in a Commander deck, it's really good at greatly expanding the card pool that has Fortel because it's every single card in Magic. I think it's a super cool design.
I do wish we had something like this for Mutate, because think about how versatile and different Mutate decks would be if there was a card like this.
So cool if it was like creature cards in your hand have
or non-human
mutate.
Creatures in your hand have Mutate.
Oh,
and even
yeah.
if they didn't, the creatures you're mutating doesn't have an effect that's like when it mutates, it still would just make the Mutate decks different and more versatile. And God, it would have been really cool.
Interesting things with that.
Yeah, I would have liked that
really
a lot
want that
more.
Card now.
Hey man, just make it. We can always play test with it.
Yeah.
I'm just mad that Roalesk can't be mutated on. He's a human mutant, but you can't mutate on the mutant. He's a human.
That's really funny, actually.
Annoying.
But anyways, yeah, I like Dream Devourer quite a bit. I think it's a cool design. I think I might have to see. I think I might have pulled one. I can't remember though exactly. I'll have to double check. But yeah, I think it's a cool design and I like it quite a bit. Okay,
I think you're up next, Nate. Evan.
Okay, so I will talk about my third favorite card that we've got here is Kaya's Onslaught. It's a 3-mana instant. Target creature gets +1/+1 and double strike till end of turn, but it can be foretold, and its foretell cost is 1. I'm a big fan of. This reminds me of a dear old card of mine that I loved back in the day, a Teamer Battle Rage. And while it may not give trample, I'm a big fan of haha, gotcha moments. So if someone I can foretell this for cheap, and then wait to spring my trap, then activate the cost and give something double strike and get a blowout. And double strike is nothing to scoff at, plus the +1/+1. It may not be a Teamer Battle Rage, but I'm a fan of this card kind of pushing. It's like the barrier between a Fortel deck and it's a Fortel card, which is like the plotting mechanic, and you're using it in an aggressive fashion, which I think is really cool. And I plus the art is awesome and the flavor text.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of just this whole card. It's a cool uncommon, and that's my
I think
thoughts on
it's super cool to be able to foretell it, hold 1 mana up, and then you swing in. Your opponent doesn't block because you only have 1 planes open. You tap it and you more than double your damage output and just freaking destroy them. It's really nice to be able to do that for 1 mana. There's a lot of blowout potential there.
I didn't realize this at first, but actually reading this card again, it's almost like a mini Embercleave, how it gives +1/+1 double strike. It doesn't give the trample, obviously it's not a permanent effect, but it's still pretty comparable. It does something kind of similar, which I think it's
a good version of Embercleave.
Yeah, so it's strictly worse. I mean, it is an uncommon compared to a mythic. I shouldn't be saying an uncommon should be as good as a mythic, but Embercleave is still a stupid, dumb, stinky card for stupid idiots.
Yeah, whenever I'm playing around a foretold card in limited, I'm like, God, what if they have Kaya's Onslaught? They could definitely have Kaya's Onslaught here. And it always sucks when they do.
In Constructed, I get terrified whenever I see people foretell because I always think it's going to be Salt coming. I'm conditioned to always just think it's going to be the counterspell. But anyways, that's besides the point. Yeah, I like this card quite a bit too. I do also like the art. It's weird. This is a story spotlight, though. In the story, I don't think this exact scene ever happened. In the same scenario, in the same place where it is. Honestly, Kaldheim's was very good. I know I said that about Zendikars, but Kaldheim's was a lot better and had a very cool ending. I liked it quite a bit. I'd recommend it. If you don't read the entire story, at least read the epilogue. It's very good. Anyways. Is that all, Evan, or do you have anything more you want to say about this card?
Yeah, that's what I got on Kaya's Onslaught. You can go to your card.
Yeah. It's,
All right, I guess I'm up next. My first card is Mystic Reflection, 1 in a blue for a rare instant. Choose target non-legendary creature. The next time one or more creatures or planeswalkers enter the battlefield this turn, they enter as copies of the chosen creature. Fortel blue. This card is just wacky. I really just, like, I wish I could say more about it, but it's just like, you look at it and you're like, okay, what's the stupidest thing I can do with this? And I think it treads the line really well between being just a stupid card to meme with and also being kind of playable. You know, being able to cast 1 blue and make sure that your opponent's bomb enters the battlefield as a copy of your elf token. That's pretty good. It's like 1 blue almost removal, and I like that it's versatile to be memey and also kind of good in certain situations.
I didn't realize this before, but it says Planeswalker too. So if they're about to drop their Tybalt or their Ugin, 1 blue, it enters as a copy of my Goblin.
Yeah, it's
That's
just like it feels so bad, and I love it.
Honestly, I think this could be like a kind of if you're more words. I could see this as kind of like a sideboard card against like ramp decks, because like think about how many times my like aggressive Merfolk deck will just lose to them dropping an Ugin early.
I definitely think it's really good for situations like that in Commander, because there's always a billion creatures on the battlefield that there's invariably a good creature that either you want to copy or a bad creature that you want your opponent to copy, and doing it for 1 in a blue or just a blue is really, really efficient.
I like the idea of popping an Avenger of Zendikar, but with the ETB on the stack targeting Avenger of Zendikar to just make
Like, that's just so wacky. How would you do that with any other card? I love
it. So good. I remember I misread this at first, and I thought it was just creatures enter the battlefield as that creature until end of turn.
Oh my god, yeah.
But no, it's not that insane.
Like it with Evangel of Heliod in Standard.
Oh yeah,
Not Evangel. I'm sorry, the other one. Not even. Basically Evangel.
Yeah. The I know what you're talking about. It makes I used to play it in Limited quite often. It was really damn good. It's like 4 and a white when ETBs create soldiers equal to your devotion to white. That's a pretty good one. All right. Yeah, I like Mr. Reflection a lot. I'm happy to see some kind of wacky effect like it. I also like the art too.
That's the one.
Yeah, that's it. I also like the art too. It's very pretty.
I have no clue what's going on in it, but it's nice.
Yeah. All right. Next card I'm going to talk about is I've been having a lot of fun with this card. It's called Goldspan Dragon. It's a 3 double red for a dragon with flying and haste, 4/4. And when it attacks or becomes the target of a spell, you create a treasure. And treasures you control have sacrifice this tap, sack this artifact, add 2 mana of any one color. So it turns all your treasures into kind of like mini Black Lotuses, essentially. And this card's really damn good. Like I've been playing in Commander, and it took over the game. It helped my Boros deck take over the game, because problem just red and white decks. Red's been doing better recently, but just red and white decks have a problem with ramping, right? And treasures have become a good way for red to ramp, and this just makes all of your treasures even better. It's really good. Also, instantly comes down to, not instantly comes down, there's still a chance for them to try to remove it, but no matter what, you will drop it and get to make a treasure that turn. So even
that instant value is definitely good protection.
Yeah.
Card didn't need that.
Yeah, honestly.
I do think this might be a little pushed. Just a little bit.
Just a little.
But I don't think it's like so obnoxiously like I don't think it's like Euro pushed or something like that, and I don't mind seeing it seeing red pushed, right? Like I do think there's a bit too much. Like Ember Cleave is a bit too much in my opinion, but something like this, I like it for Commander. It's been okay in constructed formats. I don't think it's been like obnoxiously good. But even
it'd be just the right power level if they took off the when it becomes a target of a spell or ability. You know, like let my removal do its job, man.
True, but I do.
It does so much for so little.
It does. It is 5 mana though. The thing is, it's not like 3
whoa,
mana.
5 mana.
5 mana. Yeah,
Oh,
that's a whole lot.
That,
yeah.
there.
I don't know. I don't think it's too pushed, but I can definitely see the argument for it. I just
Yeah, I
like
don't
the
think
card
it's
a lot.
broken. It's just slightly annoying to look at. It's very, very good though.
Yeah. And also, I just like because like it's a big dragon that does a lot. It feels mythic-y to me. Like it's not
Yeah,
like obnoxious.
flat.
Like something like what's an example? Seraphic Greatsword, right? It's mythic, but it doesn't feel mythic, right? Or like Lotus Cobra originally didn't really feel mythic. It wasn't big, it wasn't splashy. But this is a bit. It's big, it's splashy.
Dragons.
What did you say, Evan?
Death Mist Raptor from Dragons of Tarkir. That card is
Yes, that card didn't feel mythic, but this does, and I like it quite a bit. Yeah, I'm happy this got printed. It's gonna slot right into Pirates whenever I make that deck.
Yeah, let me know when that happens next.
It's happening this year. Goal, end of the year. All my Ixalan decks are going to be finished.
Okay. Let me know.
yeah.
All right. Anyways, Evan, you can go on next.
So my next card, it's a very familiar card to everyone here. It is Coma, Cosmo Serpent. It is a 7 mana, so 3 colorless, 2 green, 2 blue, for a legendary creature, Serpent, that cannot be countered. There's a whole lot of text on here. At the beginning of each upkeep, create a 3/3 blue serpent creature token named Coma's Coil. I may sacrifice another serpent to choose one. Another tap, target permanent. Its activated abilities can't be activated, or Coma Cosmo Serpent gains indestructible until end of turn, and it is a 6/6. Card's gas. Card is a machine. It takes over the game. From my experience, if you let it go, even though it protects itself, it's absolutely absurd. If you let it go, it'll just Serpent every turn is ridiculous.
I know, it's every upkeep too. If you haven't checked out the most recent episode of Mull to Zero, you need to, because you can see exactly how good an unanswered Coma really is.
The card's really good. There's gonna be something I complain about later. I'm gonna use Coma as a prime example because there's like a specific. There's some cards like this that I think are clearly designed for Commander, and creating something at each upkeep is just exponentially better in a 4-player environment than a 2-player environment. And I'm just not a big fan of its design overall. I think the card's really cool. Again, it feels mythic-y. It's still an obnoxious Simic mythic, but it doesn't gain you life, draw you cards, make your land drops, and protect itself all in one body. And it's also 7 mana versus... It's also 7 mana versus 3 or 4. There's a...
Yeah.
Like... I definitely think the card's good, but it's not like it can be obnoxiously good. Don't get me wrong. If you haven't seen either of the episodes of Mull to Zero, because the second one just went live, you can see just how good it is. Or if the more popular series, if you guys have seen Game Nights, this card was freaking insane.
You may have heard of it.
Yeah, true. Game Nights.
What? Game Nights?
Series.
I only heard of particularly screwed.
But yeah.
Is that like an amateur channel or something?
Yeah, they're a small channel, small shit compared to me. I can't even joke about that. Wow.
Why sue us? Sue us, please.
But yeah, Coma's cool though. I do like him overall. There's just beautiful art by Jesper Icing too. I love the waves he did on it.
Literally unbeatable and limited. Like,
yeah.
If you don't immediately kill it before it gets a serpent, you will not win.
I do think this is something I could, like, see myself hard pivoting for. Like, Pack 2, maybe not Pack 3, but Pack 2 I could see myself hard pivoting for.
Absolutely. Like, this is Dream Trawler levels broken.
Yeah.
But see, the difference is Dream Trawler was a rare, and this is a mythic.
Dream Trawler at rare was, like, the worst part of Theros Limited.
Remember the dude who had 2 Dream Trawlers in his deck?
Oh my god, I faced that guy and he never got to cast one, and I was just waiting. I'm like, he'd hit his land drop and I'd be like, please no Dream Trawler, please no Dream Trawler.
I was playing around a Dream Trawler the entire time when I was playing against him. But anyways, that's here or there. I do like Coma quite a bit though. Just a couple of things that make me... But other than that, I think he's a fine card. Chris, you have an interesting pick for your next one, don't you?
Ooh, I do. My next pick is Path to the World Tree. It's 1 green for an enchantment. When Path to the World Tree enters the battlefield, search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. It has an activated ability. For 2 generic and Wooburg, sacrifice Path to the World Tree. You gain 2 life and draw 2 cards. Target opponent loses 2 life. Path to the World Tree deals 2 damage to up to 1 creature. You create a 2/2 green bear creature token. So I pretty much exclusively picked this card because I want to talk about the possibility of drafting 5 colors in Kaldheim Limited. So Path to the World Tree, I think, is supposed to be like a signpost trying to tell you that if you really try, you can do 5 colors. And first of all, it's a lay of the land, so it gets you closer to hitting all of them. But with considering the fact you have a dual land in, is it every pack or
not every
most
pack? It's the snow duels just will. I don't know if the exact ratio, but they'll just sometimes appear over basics. It's like the gain lands from Ikoria.
Well, you've got snow duels at common at least, so you can just pick a bunch of those, shove them in a deck, and then you get to just play every good spells you come across. Like I drafted it once, I went 7-1, even though it looked bad, but it was the most fun deck like I've ever played. It was so much fun, and that activated ability to Wooburg to do like a billion jillion things. If you activate that, it's pretty hard to lose. You gain like so much card advantage. You get a 2/2, 2 cards, you kill something, like that's like a 4-for-1. I just think the card is probably not worth forcing 5 colors, but now that I've played with it, it's really, really tempting.
So I'm a bit of a connoisseur of 5-color limited environments. In War of the Spark Limited, I exclusively, except for one draft where I pack one, picked one feather, and I feel cheated, like I feel gross admitting to this because I did it on stream, but I exclusively played 5-color planeswalkers every single limited, and did
How well did that work out for you, Nate?
I actually, if you remember, I actually pulled prizes at quite a few limited events. I remember pulling a Kefnan of Foil Sahelia of one of my prize packs. Like I actually did well at quite a few events with it.
I went 0-3 the last time.
What? Oh, the last
went
time.
1-3 the time before that.
I would normally.
This is calling his bluff.
But anyway.
Yeah, I'm calling about Nate.
I would pull in paper. I did marginally well. It was a lot of fun either way, though. Which at the end of the day, that's why I go to limited to do is have fun.
Yeah, that's fair.
But it makes me excited to see a card actually telling you, like, yes, you can go 5-color. And I find myself a lot of the times when I'm in a snow deck, picking up off-color snow lands anyways. So this will just like, it's almost like a free spell, like free to put this in. Also, just something funny I noticed. I was like, the cost of that activate ability looks familiar. That's the exact same cost for Golos.
Golos might be a little bit better, but
I mean, it's uncommon.
Find your Field of the Dead.
Yeah, it's uncommon versus rare. I mean, that's understandable. But yeah, I do find it funny. And then again, though, if you're playing this in limited and you get to activate the ability, chances are you might be winning that game. Like, that still does a lot.
yeah, I've never activated that ability and lost.
Yeah, I do like this card quite a bit. I do think it's funny. Just 5-color cards in limited always, like, I find funny.
Yeah.
I can never tell if they're particularly good. Like, honestly, I don't think a Seek is that good in a limited. The at least the World Tree side. But I do think this could actually, like, if you play it, you're probably winning the game.
Yeah, this is just my soapbox to say everybody force 5-color snow, do it. It's fun.
At least do it once. It's quite a bit of fun.
Played 5-color snow before it was cool.
Yeah, hell yeah, boy.
So we all have one more card we want to talk about. This one is near and dear to my heart. When Kaldheim was starting to come out, and specifically it was just the packaging was released. Somebody pointed out that it looked like Tybalt was on one of the packagings, and I was like eyes on like a hawk for anything related to Kaldheim to see if this was going to be true. And I was ecstatic that Tybalt was not only in the set, but is a freaking god. Like, he's an actual god in this set. It makes me so excited. My card is not Valky, God of Lies, because the front side's dumb and stupid and stinky. No. My card is Tybalt, Cosmic Impersonator. He costs 5 black-red.
Cosmic Imposter, pal.
Why do I keep thinking
Fake
my
fan.
bad. I'm sorry. Why do I keep thinking it's impersonator? I haven't bought one yet.
You're trying to avoid the haha funny that I'm not going to say.
Honestly, it's probably like a subconscious like routine to say imposter instead of impersonator instead of imposter. Anyways, Tybalt.
This gets to be so dated.
Tybalt, Cosmic Imposter, costs 5 black and a red. So for a legendary planeswalker, Tybalt. As Tybalt enters the battlefield, you get an emblem with you may play cards exiled with Tybalt, Cosmic Imposter, and you may spend mana as though it was mana of any color to cast those spells. Christopher, I am trying to gush over the hunk of a man that's sitting on my screen.
I'm sorry. Okay, I'm good.
I was about to say, don't make me mute you. Whew. Wow, okay. His +2, exile the top card of each player's library. His -3, exile target artifact or creature. His -8 is exile all cards from all graveyards, add 3 red. Not only am I excited to see Tybalt, I remember before Tybalt was spoiled, I could probably even go back into the Discord that we all have and find the screenshot of me saying it. I said it either has to be good or really bad, to reference the first one. If it's perfectly mediocre like Rakish Instigator, I'm going to cry again. That card sent me into the 5 stages of freaking grief. But this card is honestly kind of insane. It's been seeing play as a finisher in a lot of decks, and at 7 mana it should be close to winning you the game. Its +2 in Commander says draw 4 cards, which I'm not a big fan of. It'd be another effect being strictly better in Commander, but you know what? Fine, whatever. I can look past
Tybalt. You got to make the exception.
Yeah, I got to make the exception for Tybalt, especially because since he's a modal double-face card with a legendary creature on his front side, I get to finally have Tybalt in my command zone. If you watch Particularly Screwed, you would understand how ecstatic I am about this. It makes me so goddamn excited.
Don't watch the first game then.
Don't watch the first game. Somebody killed my Geode Golem, and I literally had nothing to do. I could not play. I had to do something, and I'm sorry. I did actually partially base my deck around playing Valky, bouncing him back to get Tybalt later, but there's only a couple cards that do that. Yeah, I just like it. It's a cool card. It's a unique, very Rakdos-y effect as well. I can understand there was complaints about the -3. We haven't seen Christopher.
You okay, man?
I never noticed that imposter in the name.
You haven't noticed that it said that?
It's so dumb, but I never noticed when the Tybalt is sus.
Chris, it sounds like you're crying. Are you okay?
Oh my god, there are tears in my eyes. It's not even funny.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry,
I didn't mean to interrupt you, mate.
There were some complaints the -3 exiling an artifact or creature didn't feel very Rakdos, but those are both artifacts is from red. Destroying artifacts is a red thing. Destroying creatures is a black thing. They just gave it exile so you could. That's his entire theme, is being able to play things. It's kind of just like it's almost like -3 steal an artifact or creature. It's a bit. I do understand the complaints, but I think it makes sense for Rakdos. But yeah, I like this card a lot. What more can I say? And also, I really like his art. He's really hitting a drama pose there, and I like that quite a bit.
It feels weird having a Tybalt card that's actually, good.
So he's quite a bit of play too. It feels weird, but I'm there for it. I'm excited. I do wish you'd go down a little bit because I have to buy one of each foil to complete my collection, and the foils for his alternate arts are like $60 a piece right now.
Give it time.
I'm gonna give it time because foils have been crashing recently. His normal foil is $25, but again, I'm gonna give it time because I don't have that money right now. I spent $60 on a white bordered Tybalt.
I was about to say, it's not like you're a stranger to spending $60 on a Tybalt.
Yes, but I'd have to spend $60 twice more. I want to wait.
He's worth it, right?
He is worth it. I love him to death, but I'm excited. I'm very happy he exists and that I can run him in my command zone.
I'm happy that he has imposter in the name, and I never noticed.
That's my favorite part.
I'm gonna edit that out. I'm gonna edit you saying that out. No, I'm not going to. I'm not going to. Don't worry.
Okay. Oh, it's the only entertaining part of this podcast.
Watching Chris literally cry tears of joy from laughing at Tybalt.
God, okay.
Whew.
Sorry, do you have a card now, Evan?
Yeah, let's move on to Evan. I've jerked off Tybalt enough.
Yeah.
One that's related.
So, my last card is it's a black card. It's a Draugr Necromancer. It's a 3 and a black for a snow creature, zombie cleric. A cleric, gotta get into that Zendikar. If a non-token creature an opponent controls would die, exile that card with an ice counter on it. You may cast spells from among cards and exile your opponent's own with ice counters on them, and you may spend mana from snow sources as though it were mana of any color to cast those spells. I'm a big fan of this card. It's nice because it is a snow creature itself, but the second ability, it likes you to have snowlands, but you don't have to have snowlands to cast the spells. So if you're in a mono black EDH deck, which I'm thinking of building and slotting this in because it's really good in, I'm probably going to put snowlands in it. Some snowlands, I'd like to have other lands too. But if I kill someone's creature and then I can recast it, that's just so much value. And I'm a big fan of this card. I like the theft and the flavor of Rising from the Dead. And also I'm a big fan of Draugr, so...
I do like how all the zombies are named Draugr in this set. I think it's a very nice flavor touch. Another thing, though, is I completely misread this card at first. I thought when I first read it, I thought you had to use snow mana to cast the spells. And I remember it was actually at our me, Evan, Chris, and another one of our friends, Vincent, while pre-releases have been at home for us due to the current pandemic, we've been doing small at-home pre-releases, just the four of us. And I pulled this card in. It was something I really wanted it. I wanted it for my Tybalt deck because it's all based around theft. And I remember Chris pointed out to me after, I think, like, game one or something, he was like, I think you've been playing this card wrong. I think it's a lot better than you thought it was. And oh my god, it is. Like, this card's a bomb in limited.
Yeah, you killed one of my mono black creatures because I was playing Rakdos, and you exiled it with the ice counter, and you didn't think you could cast it because you didn't have
4 snowlands.
4 snowlands. It was a 4-drop. When you could have cast it the entire time, it's it's really good.
The card is really good. I like it quite a bit. I like theft decks. Like, I always thought Chris's Lazav deck was super cool. Chris has a Lazav Dimir Mastermind deck. And, of course, I'm working on now building my Tybalt deck, which is just his Lazav deck, but infinitely cooler because Tybalt's in the command zone. But yeah, I'm very excited. This card, I like it quite a bit. I do think it should have been a wizard. Necromancers are traditionally more wizards. But, again, because we're not in a block structure and they need to support party, they're just putting party creature types on random things. Like the one...
or something?
Like what?
What's his creature type?
A zombie cleric.
Zombie cleric.
But necromancers tend to be, like, if I look necromancer on Scryfall, I'm pretty sure we see them more as wizards, right?
Yeah. And it's like the one elf rogue from the Snow Rogue.
God, don't get me started. What is that called?
It's a 2-minute 2/2.
Sculptor of Winter.
Sculptor of Winter. I hate that card. It should have been a druid. I spelled sculptor wrong when searching on Scryfall.
You look at its effect. You look at its stats. Nothing about it says a rogue.
You look at its art too. It looks like a druid.
Green druid. It cares about the lands. It's called Sculptor of Winter. It's a druid.
Anyways, Chris, what is your last card you want to talk about?
Oh yes, that's right. I do have another card, don't I?
You do.
My last card is a Kaldheim limited favorite, Runed Crown. Runed Crown is 3 generic mana for an artifact equipment. When Runed Crown enters the battlefield, you may search your library, hand, and or graveyard for a rune card and put it onto the battlefield attached to Runed Crown. If you search your library this way, shuffle it. Equipped creature gets +1/+1, equip 2. So, I've played with this card a lot recently in Kaldheim Limited, and it is insane. I have never once played it and been upset, because all the runes cantrip, right? So when you search your library for rune, not only are you getting a good equipment that gives a
keyword and a stats boost, you're also drawing a card. So you're getting card advantage and a good equipment too. And it's just like ridiculous. I think that the single best rune to get with Rune Crown is the lifelink one, Rune of Sustenance, I think. Just being able to get +1/+1 and lifelink. Shut up.
Shut up. Don't get him started again. Do not again.
Wait, what was I saying?
The Rune of Sustenance. We're talking about
Sustenance.
lifelink.
Yes. Lifelink on an equipment is just ridiculously good, and a lot of the times you equip this on a flyer, you make it a 4/4 flyer with lifelink, the game's just over at that point. Every time I see Rune Crown, I pick it, and then I just prioritize getting runes. And what's especially good about it is sometimes I just put off-color runes in my deck without a way to cast them, you know? Like if I'm in red, green, and I have a Rune Crown, and I find the white rune, I'm just putting that bad boy in my deck. Maybe I'll put like one basic plains in or something, because he just puts it out. The Rune Crown just attaches it without requiring you to cast it. So it's just like pick any and all runes you can, and especially if you get multiple runes, being able to choose between, okay, do I want lifelink or death touch in this situation? It's just a very good card. I'm very impressed with it.
I do like, since the green rune gives trample and the white one gives lifelink, you can build your own Loxodon Warhammer with this, which I think is kind of funny. Loxodon Warhammer is traditionally a pretty damn good card, so and just
It's an uncommon in Mirrodin.
yeah.
Dwarven Hammer, if you equip a Dwarven Hammer with Rune of Sustenance, it's literally the exact same card as Loxodon Warhammer.
Is it really? I forget what Dwarven Hammer does.
Gives +3/+0 and trample. When it enters, you can pay 2.
Better Loxodon Warhammer then, because Loxodon Warhammer only gives +2/+0 and trample.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Then you are building just a strictly.
Oh no! Wait,
sure?
no, I'm stupid. No, it does give +2/+0.
I really thought it was +2.
Okay, I'm just a touch stupid, but that's okay. Yeah, I like Rune Crown a lot, and again, I actually do really like just runes as a concept. I do still wish we saw more of them. Like, I wouldn't have minded like 1 or 2 at common. Maybe in the red white, maybe like have made an extra red and a white one at common too, because that's the aura and equipment archetype. That would have been kind of cool. That's just my opinion on it. I still overall like how they did it.
Land tripping a card that gives a keyword at common would be a little strong.
It didn't have to be that exact design. It could have maybe not have cantripped or just given a keyword or something. Like, it didn't have to be an exact uncommon design. Just maybe something a bit watered down at common.
Runes are cool.
Yeah, I like them a lot. Wouldn't mind seeing them. I think they'd be cool in Voltron decks, because like in something like Evan's Isamaru deck, he has an Isamaru Voltron deck. If I'm correct, Evan, you don't run a lot of enchantments because if Isamaru dies, you don't want them going to the graveyard. But runes, you can put them on an equipment, they'll come back. Or not come back, they'll stick around.
I think the correct play in Limited is 90% of the time, if you have equipment, to wait until you draw an equipment to play a rune. Because too many times if I dropped a rune on a creature, the creature gets killed and I'm just out the rune.
Yeah.
Like, equipping equipment with lifelink and just being able to gain life with every single creature that you play is just game winning.
I do like how both the cards that search for runes also do let you search your graveyard, though.
Yeah, that's nice.
All right. Yeah, I like runes a lot. Rune Crown is great. I also do like the rare Runeforge champion, but we're gonna move on because this episode is starting to get a bit long. Draft environment. I freaking love this draft environment. I think it's so much fun. It's got me grinding historic events to try to get enough gold to be able to draft it on Arena.
I know. I've been playing so much Kaldheim recently. I've done like 1 billion drafts of this format. I probably will do another once I stop recording the podcast.
Yeah, it's quite a bit of fun. Everything's really flavorful too. I like it quite a bit. I liked Theros last year, and they've been having like their winter sets, this is the winter set, have been just doing a really good job with their draft environments, and I've been liking it quite a bit. A couple of things that I've noticed, like in the draft environment, some cards that I personally think are just really good, or in my opinion, just overperformed for me. The Tuskuri Firewalker, I think it's called. It's the boast. Let me actually pull it up so I can read it. Yes, Tuskeri Firewalker. It's 2 and a red for a 3/2 human berserker, and it says boast 1, exile top card of your library, you may play it this turn. This card has done a lot of work for me, and I think is really good in limited.
Yeah, honestly, if you can pop that off once and cast a card, it's already a 3-mana 3/2 that cantripped, which is already a really good card. And a lot of times, you equip it with the thing that gives it flying, or just, get it through somehow, and you're drawing multiple cards off of this, and you can get some major card advantage off of the Firewalker. I think red is really good in this set. Like, it's got some really good commons. Like, Demon Bolt, I think, is up there for best common in the set.
I think Demon Bolt's uncommon, though.
It's not. Demon Bolt is
Demon
common.
Bolt's common. Oh my god. This card is insane. It's really
and it's got the Tuskeri Firewalker and Frostbite. Like, it's got a lot of power at common. I've drafted a lot of red decks.
I know it's green. Ice High Troll. That card is like done work in limited. It just
That's obnoxious.
something I've just learned in general in limited. Anything that can give itself indestructible is it can take over the game, and this card gives itself indestructible. And
Definitely need to get there on snowlands, though. I've faced a lot of opponents that play the troll, and they have one snowland out for a long time, and for 4 turns they just played a 3-mana 3/2, a Tolarian Scholar, if you will.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of lame.
But yeah, overall, I think this limited format's quite a bit of fun. I do like how snow plays in limited, and I also like the tribal sub themes. Where I remember I drafted like an elf deck, and I didn't do well, but it was quite a bit of fun.
That's most decks that I draft.
Yeah, I tend not to do very well in limited, which kind of has been backfiring when I spend all 10,000 gold on a draft.
I've been doing pretty good with Kaldheim Limited recently. I've gotten multiple 7 wins on Premier Draft on Arena.
Yeah, I've only got to do it twice, so I'm not quite accustomed to it. So next time, though, we'll definitely get there.
For sure, right?
So one thing I added this for a segment for this one are there any specific cards that we don't like? Are there any things that we want to talk about that we're noticing in this? Any like trends or overall like design philosophies that we've seen in this set that we just aren't a big fan of?
Even form.
Yeah,
Raven form is so annoying.
I think I don't like Raven form. I don't think it should have removed artifacts or creature. I just don't like this card. It could have easily been white and called Dove form.
It's just not a blue card. And then you've got other cards that really kind of shake up the color pie a little bit, where it's like, maybe I wouldn't hate it if there weren't so many of them, but you've also got
Bind the Monster. I do want to talk about that a bit more. Oh god, I almost dropped my microphone. Yeah, so Bind the Monster. It's an enchantment aura. Enchant creature. When it enters the battlefield, tap enchanted creature. It deals damage to you equal to its power, and it doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. This card is not only really good removal, like arguably better than a lot of the removal white got in the set, which is the color of removal, but it's very similar. The problem with this card is very similar to Claim the Firstborn, where they took an effect that's normally at 3 mana and tried to make a balanced version of it at 1 mana, and it just turned out way too good. Like, there's a reason why most of these types of effects tend to be at 3 or 4 mana, because they're really good, and putting them at 1, it just pushes it over the edge. Like, Claim the Firstborn still sees play in, like, a lot of decks that normally want hijack effects, like Sacrifice decks, but the reason why Active Treason and other hijack effects don't see play is they're 3 mana. Putting it at 1 pushes it over the edge.
A 1-mana blue spell should never hard remove a creature, which is exactly what that card does. And I just really do not like that.
Also, this card is Pauper legal. Fall from Favor just got banned in Pauper because it gave... I do think this is a bit worse than Fall from Favor because it doesn't repeatedly...
I'd say it's quite a bit worse than Fall from Favor.
It doesn't repeatedly draw you cards, but it's still a 1-mana removal spell for those blue tempo decks that are already using effects like that.
You can definitely see it seeing play. I don't think it's anywhere near Fall from Favor, but it definitely is a contender for Pauper.
Yeah.
I don't like Tybalt's Trickery.
I do not like it either. So I went through cycles with looking at Tybalt's Trickery, right? First, I hated the card because I saw counter target spell on a red card, and I'm like, this is stupid. Why are you disgracing my favorite man like this? Like, it hurt. It hurt, but Then I was like, okay, reading it over again, this feels like a very red way to counter a spell. They have the milling aspect in for a bit of protection, so it's not just like a strictly better show and tell or something. This is fine. Then somebody mulled down to 3 against me on Arena and got a turn 2 Ulamog off a Stone Cold Serpent, and boy do I not like this card now.
They should have mulled to 0. Wink.
Oh my
guys?
god, get it? But no, I still don't like this card.
I just don't think this card is fun in any, like, there are very few situations where this card is fun. Either you're cheating out something way too early, or you're countering an opponent's spell, and either they get something dinky, in which case they're not having fun, or they get something way better than what you countered, in which case you're not having fun. I don't like the card.
I do think using this as a real counter spell, you have to wait until they drop like their Ugin or something, right? Like, it's against ramp decks or like decks that are cheating out big payoffs. You gotta wait to just counter their big payoff. But I still just don't think it's fun. I run this in my Tibalt deck for flavor reasons, but I don't even think it's actually good in EDH. Because a lot of times if you go to counter their big spell in EDH, they're going to just flip another big spell. I think the play patterns this card leads to just isn't fun, and I don't like its design. Period.
Yep, not a fan.
Do wish it said counter target spell and opponent controls.
God, like a Divine Gambit, they knew that card could be abused, so they gave it an opponent controls clause. Why didn't they do that with Tybalt's Trickery?
I don't like Divine Gambit either. I don't think the card's bad and limited. Don't get me wrong. I think it was designed for limited, but it just shows where White's design goes. It's not very good.
It's so bad. That downside is like monumental.
Yeah.
So another thing I noticed is Kaldheim has a bit of a legendary sub theme, correct? And I'm normally fine with this, right? But just recently in standard sets, we've been getting a lot more legendary creatures than in previous sets, to the point where I remember Ikoria had, I think, actually I can, what am I doing? I can pull up the exact amount. Ikoria had 27 legendary creatures. Zendikar had, I think it was around that number. I think it was like 25. I forget Zendikar's exact type identity, like three-word code, whatever. Kaldheim has 37 legendary permanents in general. If you subtract the things that aren't creatures, you get 35 legendary creatures. 34, something like that. Magic is being designed, standard sets recently have been being designed for Commander, and it's kind of, I don't like this shift in philosophy. Like, I saw Carter Doom Scourge, and a card like this was designed just to be strictly, like, it was designed to be fine and limited and maybe constructed, but they want to put Commander cards in almost every pack so that you want to open a pack to think you'll pull a Commander staple. Or not even staple, just a card that you could toss in a Commander deck. Something like King Narfi's Betrayal was designed to be better in Commander, because instead of drawing you 2 cards, it draws you 4 cards in Commander. I don't like this shift in philosophy. And also I think designing for Commander is part of the reason why we see cards like Raven Form, Tybalt's Trickery. Yeah, I could talk about Feed the Swarm for a different day, but yeah, like even Feed the Swarm, even though I agree with part of why that was designed, I think the part we're not hearing about for why it was designed was for being in Commander. And I don't like this shift in philosophy. I preferred I'm still working on it. I haven't worked on it recently. I probably should. I'm working on a video essay about this recent shift in Commander, and I don't like it. I liked Commander more when WotC just stood out of it, made some Commander decks once a year, and left it at that.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that the best formats are the ones that WotC has no hand in governing at all. Like, WotC touching your format is like a kiss of death.
It really is. I don't like this shift in philosophy. Like, I want my standard sets to be designed for standard.
Yeah, honestly. Like, I can't even keep up with the amount of legendary creatures they're pumping out these days, you know? like 100+ in the past year for sure. It's
There is so many. It's
impossible to keep up.
It is, and like, it's not even used as like a balancing thing anymore. Like legendary used to be used as a balancing mechanic for something like that you don't want multiples of, and it also for a bit of flavor. But originally it was more of like a balancing thing. But now they're like slapping legendary on because this would be cool in the command zone.
They put a doubling season on Vorinclex that you can now have as your commander. Because everybody needed doubling season as a commander.
I do like Vorinclex's design, but it's very obnoxious.
Like it. It's doubling season with like upside.
Oh, it doesn't do the tokens, which is arguably the stronger part. It doesn't do the tokens.
Counters. You can instantly ult all your planeswalkers.
Yeah,
that's what most people use doubling season for. Is
true.
Super Friends.
I do kind of like. Then I also like Super Friends though, so I'm probably biased.
That's why I have a doubling season, but I refuse to build Super Friends.
But my least favorite archetype ever is Super Friends. It's a torture to play against.
Though I do also like. There are a couple things about Vorinclex's design I like. Like I do like how it's a reference to his original. I like how it is actually designed to also stop sagas on Kaldheim. I think that's very flavorful. But I can understand the big complaint about him. I definitely.
What's the flavor of him stopping sagas?
He's like he was designed to be like some kind of like big monstrous invader, and while he's there, the sagas on Kaldheim were supposed to like come to a stop. They were framing him to be more of a bad guy than he actually was.
Yeah, why was Vorinclex on this plane anyway? That wasn't. What is he doing here? What's up?
I'll give you some. Hey, anyone who hasn't read the Kaldheim story and actually cares, which is probably a small amount. Spoiler warning. In the epilogue.
To like 20 seconds ahead or something.
Yeah, I'll skip to. I'll put a timestamp on the video for you to skip to. 3, 2, 1. In the epilogue of Kaldheim's story, Asika, god of the tree, is the person who makes the Cosmos elixir, which makes the gods on Kaldheim immortal. And Vorinclex beat the shit out of her and took the Cosmos elixir and left her for dead.
Damn.
And then, like, somebody, we don't know who said it, but somebody said, "Good work, now we're a step closer to perfection," or something along those lines.
Okay, but, like, how did he get there? What is he doing here?
We don't know yet.
That's a $1 million question.
We don't know yet, but I don't mind them leaving some things for mystery as long as they actually pick it up later on. Like, I want to see...
Even if we just never saw the Phyrexians ever again in Magic.
They just never explain why or how he knows of this immortality elixir.
I would personally like a Cosmos elixir. Personally, I would like to see them putting Praetors in later sets. Like, I think Shieldred or Jin-Gitaxias would be amazing on Innistrad, specifically more Shieldred. I would love to see Jin-Gitaxias on Strixhaven. I think he'd fit right in there.
Professor Snape, Jin-Gitaxias.
But yeah,
Secret Letter.
All right. But yeah, I'm excited to see it again. And we are back for anyone who skipped ahead because they cared about Kaldheim spoilers, which I don't think anyone does. I personally like the story a lot, but yeah, yeah. Let's move on because this is starting to get to a
we're getting long.
We're getting very off track too. Last thing, a couple last things we want to bring up. Kaldheim is continuing the trend Zendikar Rising Commander Legends had, where instead of having Planeswalker decks, they have Commander decks, and I think these ones are actually quite a bit of fun. They look really cool, and I like it quite a bit.
They're super value packed, and I have no clue how they can ever justify charging $40 for a Commander deck again when they've made almost better Commander decks that cost $20 than a lot of the $40 ones. Like, I'm never buying a $40 Commander deck.
You never bought a $40 Commander deck.
I know, and I never will. It's not going to happen.
My opinion is they really are now going to have to step up the value in the $40 decks, right? Like,
they won't.
Yeah, they probably won't. And the new cards that get included in the $40 decks tend to just be more pushed. Like, we saw Dockside Extortionist, we saw Fierce Guardianship, but I just want to see more value in the reprints. Like, throw us a Fetch and a Shock. At least Shocks, give us that. If you're gonna print the exact same mana bases in your $20 decks as your $40 decks, then
on the Brawl decks, for God's sake.
Yeah, like they put Shocks
Shock
in the Brawl decks. I want to see them seeing how good these decks are. I want them to step up the $40 decks to make it worth buying, because I would normally buy them. I liked the product and I wanted to support it, but if they're gonna make these at $20 with every set, they have got to step up their $40 decks quite a bit.
Sure.
all right, last thing we're gonna go over. How do we think some of these? Do we think some of these cards will affect Magic's formats? What do we think are gonna see play? I think Tegrid EDH deck is something I could see myself just not wanting to play against. Which Tegrid is the black god that is almost better. Almost better.
Oh yeah.
The sacrifice discard one. The what's the card I'm thinking about?
Eldrazi.
Yeah, it's the Eldrazi.
That betrays. There you
It
go.
that betrays. Yeah, Tegrid is an almost Turgrid is an almost better it that betrays in the command zone. But
It's going in my Nath deck. Haha.
Warren Klex is going to be a freaking annoying commander to play against forever and
I mean,
always.
so is
Yeah.
original Vorinclex.
I know.
Yeah.
Like
They can both be freaking annoying together. Vorinclex can go in the Vorinclex deck.
but yeah. Aside from EDH though, because a lot of the I'm looking at the legendary creatures, so many of these are just designed for EDH. It kind of pisses me off. But aside from EDH, I actually do think Tybalt's seeing play in standard as a finisher and historic. It's seeing I haven't actually looked to see if it's seeing real play in Jund. I want it to. I think that's funny as hell. But
I'll be real with you, I don't really care. I don't play Modern, I don't play Legacy.
Yeah.
that's true.
Screw 'em. Maybe Tybalt's Trickery will make some waves, but
Yeah,
I see it seeing like a Living End decks. Like that could be their different finisher other than Living End.
I think that actually is
What-
part of where they're seeing play is in a living end build. And
what would
actually,
be a finisher instead of Living End?
So you just cycle a bunch of your dudes into the graveyard where they have cycling effects, and then you Living End and you have a whole army of creatures. that
I know,
attack.
but what Kaldheim
Well,
card are you talking about? I didn't
what
catch.
if Tybalt?
I'm sorry.
Tybalt?
You can cascade into them really easy. And then you
Oh,
cast
yeah,
into
yeah.
them.
Also, actually, what a lot of living end decks are doing apparently is they're using Tybalt in sort of a transformational sideboard. Because a big problem with living end as strategy is everyone will bring in graveyard hate. So, and then your deck's screwed. So game one, you play living end, they're screwed. When they bring in all their graveyard hate, you bring in your Tybalts, all your other cascade pieces, and you become a more mid-rangey transformational sideboard deck, which I think is really cool. And I am looking at the current Jund list, and Tybalt is seeing play in it, instead of Croxa, which
I mean,
I'm
is
here
Jund
for.
even a deck anymore?
Sadly no, but I like how Jund plays. I don't think I can ever afford buying into it, but that's besides the point. Reprint, please, WotC. But yeah, I think there's some cards in Kaldheim that are strong, but I don't think it's obnoxiously strong. I don't think there's gonna be a top played creature in every single format from Kaldheim. I don't think there's gonna be something needing to be banned instantly from Kaldheim in any other format. Maybe there's gonna be something too strong in standard, but I don't even think there's anything too strong in standard here. I think it's overall a pretty fine set. I don't think it's
They
too
designed
strong.
some annoying cards, but I really don't think there's anything that's beyond broken in this set like they have in a couple of the past ones.
I don't think it's pushed for standard and all the other formats. I think it's pushed for commander, and that makes me upset because a lot of the cards that are really strong are just even strong, super strong as your commander, or in commander. It's even better. It makes me kind of upset.
Yeah.
All right. Well, overall, what do we like Kaldheim? What are our thoughts? Personally, I really like the set. I like the plane. Sadly, though, I feel like it's going to go the fate of Ixalan and Lorwyn and planes like that, where Kamigawa, where we've been there, we've done what we need to do there, so we won't need to go back. I don't see it. I would love to revisit one day because I think it's really cool, but I don't see ourselves going back. Sadly. But anyways, what do we feel about the set? I like it quite a bit. I think it's really cool.
I think the flavor's cool. The limited environment is super fun. The commander cards are a little annoying, but beyond that, the limited environment's super cool, and that's mostly what I care about. So, Kaldheim gets a thumbs up from me.
Yeah, I like Kaldheim. It's pretty cool. The setting is awesome. I like the new gods. I like all the fun cards that I can now throw in my commander decks because they're they have a lot of uniqueness that I haven't seen before. There's a couple stinkers like add cards like Divine Gambit and Raven Form. But other than that, I'm pretty happy with the set. I think it's a nice expansion.
Yeah, I do think it is. I like it quite a bit. And so yeah, with that, what are your guys' thoughts on Kaldheim? Leave that in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy this, hit like, subscribe, leave a comment, do all the plugs. Yeah, ring the bell, or Evan will literally like just spontaneously combust next time we're recording.
I will. Don't hesitate.
Yeah, tell us what you think about Kaldheim. What's your favorite cards from Kaldheim? What's your favorite mechanics? Do you like Snow and Boast? Are we just exaggerating with Raven Form? The answer is no, but...
Definitely, absolutely.
How many times has Tybalt's trickery worked out for you, and how many times has it not worked out for you?
Yeah. Are you already sick of playing Best of One on Arena because of Tybalt's trickery?
Is Super Friends a fun deck archetype?
Do you think Tybalt is sus? I just fucking said that.
Absolutely.
Are you excited?
Emergency meeting. All right, everyone. We got a Buddha God. Who's it going to be?
Last question.
Are you looking sus?
After seeing them set up, I'm gonna wait till Chris is done so I can do my last part of the fucking outro. Seeing how they're setting it up with Vorinclex and the Phyrexians, are you excited for Magic Story in the future? I probably will still read it because I hate myself, but overall I did think Kaldheim's good. That's me exaggerating. But are you excited for how they're going to continue that storyline? Or do you even think they're going to continue it? My money's on they won't.
God, we gave him like 10 questions. This is like a pop quiz.
Yeah. Pick and choose three.
My Sunday morning.
Yeah. See,
It will be graded. Have it in by Thursday.
Yeah. But yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Go check out Particularly Screwed. It's pretty good. I actually enjoyed this episode quite a bit. But yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. Check me out on Twitch. Check Chris out at Twitch over at twitch.tv/flappy172.
Hey, that's...
And
Tuesdays.
And Tuesdays and Thursdays for Chris. I stream indeterminate weekend days and Wednesdays. Thanks for... Evan, that joke's copyrighted. Shh. But
Seen by so many people.
Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you have a nice day, and peace out.
Peace out. Ring the bell, please. Please ring the bell, please.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.